Well, hello and welcome to this week's WEF Weekly as we wrap up what happens on week 10 and look forward to what happens on week 11. Yes, we're into the double digits and we're getting close to those final stages of the season, which means we also start talking finals. And last week, it was the final of the MSU 25 series. This week, we look ahead to the Captive 1 series final and also reflect on another hot Grand Prix last week as well. And of course, we had dressage too. We have a little to bring you from that as we wrap that one up as well. But this week also features the WEF Equitation Championship presented by NetJets as part of this week as well. So lots to put on the menu as always for each week for WEF Weekly to discuss. And as ever, we have a top lineup of guests. And I'm delighted to say alongside me is our lineup this week, the winner of the MSU 25 series, Summer Hill. Summer, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
New championship to your name.
Yes, it's an exciting one to add, that's for sure.
Well, we'll talk about that in just a few minutes' time. Congratulations. Lillie Keenan's got several hats on this week. After finishing well in the Grand Prix last week as well, World Championship rider, you're also judging in the equitation this week too.
I sure am. I have a few jobs this week.
Which one are you more nervous about?
Judging, for sure. For sure, definitely judging.
Nicole Shahanian-Simpson, 6-time World Cup finalist. Nikki, second place in last week's Grand Prix as well. It's been quite some weeks, and you've been past judge of the equitation, I think.
I have, and I will say that was the most nerve-wracking. So good luck to you.
Well, while we'll get the nerves calmed down a little bit. We'll talk about that as we go. But in the meantime, we're going to also reflect on last week's Grand Prix, and that Horseware Island Grand Prix to start with. And first up, it was a win for Kent Farrington. Congratulations to him once again. And we're going to catch up with Kent to see what he had to say at the time after yet another success.
I've had Tulena since she was 7. Exciting partnership with me with the Rabbit Root Stables and the Root family. So great first Grand Prix win for us here in Wellington and first Grand Prix win for the horse. So for sure, this is the biggest track she's jumped. She's been under the lights here. She jumped the other 4-star. She was 3rd. She also went incredible. High hopes for this horse. She's fast. She's careful. She's everything I like in a show jumper. You know, she's a real winner. She's naturally quick, as I said. 9 years old, stepping up at this level, I think is very impressive and shows big promise for the future.
Well, there for Kent Farrington, last week's winner, but the lady that held him close in terms of competition was, of course, Nicole Shahanian-Simpson and Hakuna Matata. Nikki, lovely to get out there in the big lights once again. How did it feel for you out there last week?
It was wonderful. It was really, really exciting. It was a great class, great crowd, great jump off. It was. I don't show my mare that often. She shows like once a month maybe, and it was thrilling. It was fun.
She's a fun mare, if you like. Give us a little bit of background to Hakuna Matata for those that have watched. She's quite
unique.
Full of beans. Yes.
Yeah, she's unique. I've had her whole life. She's 15. We bred her. She's a triplet, and all 3 of them all went through the young horse ranks together and kind of battled it out. And Nala, we call her Nala in the barn, she was sort of the rebel of the pack. You can see why. And she just has a very incredible will to win, and really knows the sport, and she's just a blast. She's a lot of fun to ride and keeps me on my toes.
She certainly does. And there's been some ups and downs in there, and give us a little bit of background to that, because it's great to see her out there.
It is. She sort of has 9 lives, I would say. She had a very life-threatening situation happen with a fungus in her guttural pouch, and it ate away at her artery, and they had to block that, and it was a bit of a time bomb type of situation. So we were really lucky for her to survive that, not only come back to the sport at the top level. I know it's a taboo thing to talk about, but she's also a bleeder. So I have to take that into consideration, and I work her schedule accordingly. And she's very, very healthy, and we've kind of gotten past all that, and she's, she tells me when she wants to go, and off we do it. So, but I'm very, very respectful of her health, and I don't abuse that schedule.
But that's the nice thing. That's why it's a partnership, because you've come through all of that together.
Yeah, it is. It really is, and it makes it even that more special. And I'm on the longevity part of it. I want her to last forever, so I'm very careful with what I ask her to do and when.
And Lillie, a good run for you as well, finishing in 4th place in the end. How did you feel about it?
I had a great Saturday night. My stallion, Nagana, is a horse that I've had for, I think, 4 years now, and every single class he tries to win. In hindsight, there's a few places I wish I had pushed myself more and asked him to go faster, because I know he would have done it for me, but to be 4th in a 4-star Grand Prix was, honestly, I couldn't ask any more of him. He's jumped many weeks here, and every single class he's come out and given me everything, so it was a great week.
It was a very, very good weekend. But let's take a look at Kent Farrington's round as the winning round there as well from that point of view. And Kent again taking home, I think, his 3rd Grand Prix here at WEF this season, and teamed that up with having won the Grand Prix in California just a week ago as well. Nikki, from your point of view, because you were riding against him at this point, did you watch his round at all? How did it play out? How did he?
I didn't. I sort of have a funny thing about the jump offs. I don't like to go last, and a little secret, I don't really like to go fast. So I just have to go in and sort of lay my trip down, and I knew that Kent would knew exactly where to catch me, but I did not get to see him live. No.
Well, it was a very impressive win once again to add to the list of those through the season. But all of the Americans then aside, it's been good season so far. We've seen McLean Walk, we've seen you consistently up there, we've seen Kent Farrington with lots of wins, Europe in there, 2nd place. It's been a really good season so far, and of course we've got Rolex Grand Prix on the horizon as well, which we'll be talking a lot next week too. In terms of wrapping up those Grand Prix, Lillie, that week into the 4-star, we saw some really good combinations coming through. That, as you say, it's a 4-star. We've got the 5 stars coming up too. But like your horse has had experience at both, as has Nicky's. But there are a few in there that are interesting. It's a good stepping stone point.
Absolutely. I think that one of the best things about this season is you have an opportunity to really utilize the weeks based off of the horses that you have and setting up for the year. My stallion is very experienced, and he's also jumped 5-star Grand Prix. So this was the Grand Prix that I really built him towards. I jumped him in some 3 stars, but that's building him towards the rest of the year into the summer when he's going to have to jump some bigger tracks. And I think when you have a younger horse, it's nice to be able to pick and choose where you're going to ask them to step up. And of course, everyone is focused on the Rolex Grand Prix at week 12. So some people maybe save some of their best horses and then just ask them to jump this past week and be ready for week 12, hopefully.
But for you, it's been a very consistent year up in the top 5s there in those Grand Prix throughout, and consistency is also the key.
Yeah, consistency is the key. So it's only the beginning of the year, but yeah, that's the goal, is to continue on that path.
Absolutely. Summer, did you get a chance to watch, or were you all still on a high after the night before?
I got to watch some of the jump off on the live stream, and it's exciting to watch. I mean, the rounds get faster and faster, and you know, it's really nice to be in Wellington and get to watch all of these rounds and watch all of these riders, because it's a place that you hope to get to further on down the road. So it's nice to be able to sit and watch some of the classes. I was rooting for Nikki, but that's
there's definitely nothing wrong in that. But you then took that inspiration into the next day as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was good for you. We're going to come on to that one in just a few minutes' time. We're going to wrap up as well something else that was taking place last week, and that was of the 5-star level, and that was dressage. And dressage was over here in the main arena as well. And a few of the jumpers were here watching too. We were watching intently from up in the commentary box, but Frederick Vandross was the man who brought home the victory in the Grand Prix freestyle last week. And with Bluetooth, he was definitely well connected. Let's see what he had to say about his victory.
First thing which comes in my mind was 6 out of 6 with Bluetooth. It was the 6th Grand Prix test now, and he won all of them. And very, very important for me was that I end up his season here with a very good feeling. That's so important for me. It was a very enthusiastic 3 months here for us, and it's not so easy to keep them for all the 3 months on a level. If you start high, then the goal is already like set it up high, so you have to keep it. That's not so easy, but we improved, so that's even better. And that was the thing which I was looking for in the beginning of the week already, that hopefully we can end up the season here improving and getting better and better, and that's what I take now with me to Europe.
Well, a good convincing victory for Frederik Vandres there here last week as part of both not only winning the freestyle but also won the Grand Prix in the lead up there as well. So it was up over the 80% for that overall win in the freestyle success. Followed on from his wins into Europe in the latter part of the year as well, when he was winning over in Madrid into the World Cup there as well. But a really solid finish for him, and in the last few movements really sealed it and brought it home in what was a strong night of competition, especially into our final 5 of that Grand Prix freestyle as well. So it was something a little bit different over in the international arena, as that brought a little bit of dressage colour to it. But again, we're going to bring different disciplines, different competitions into it this week again as well. And before we talk those, the likes of the equitation, we're going to talk the MSU25, which rounded up on Sunday afternoon. Summerhill finished up our champion. Summer, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of consistency through the season, for you, it's been, again, a number of top 5 finishes. You were, what, 3rd in the semi-final,
Yep.
4th in that final Grand Prix as well. You kept it to the wire. Auguste Iwasaki finishing the winner of that Grand Prix. How much is the championship on your mind at that point or not? We're just getting the job done.
You know, the championship is on your mind. It's kind of sitting back there, but you try not to think about it and just focus on what you have to do and good riding and putting in good rounds. And, you know, you always kind of cross your fingers and hope you did enough to get the points that you need to seal the championship. But it's really, with Daniel, it's really just about putting in good rounds. And
You mentioned Daniel there because you've teamed up with Daniel Blumen, who was training you there, and I actually walked back with him in the aftermath of the class. He was so excited.
he was excited. we were all excited. You know, Daniel didn't even come to the ring and watch. He didn't. he was anxious. I think everybody was. But he's been really spectacular to have standing beside me at the ring.
Well, a little of your round with La Belle SCF. Tell me a little bit about this horse, because you've been together, what, 2.5 years now?
It's been a successful partnership. She's a little tricky and a little bit opinionated. You know, I think some have said in the past part of why we butted heads is because we're kind of the same personality. It's taken a lot of time to get her where I want her, and now it's just maintaining that. She comes out to the ring, she tries her hardest always, and I always feel like when I need her to give me a little bit of extra, she's right there to step up.
And give us a little bit of background to you, because it's been very much a family destiny of you all getting off. Your mum's involved, but your boyfriend's involved as well, and everybody's involved, aren't they?
I've kind of roped everyone in. I'm California native. Grew up riding in my mom's business in California and going to every horse show and getting everyone to sign autographs, and you know, I've always been really into it. And then I'd say about 9 years ago, we relocated to Lexington and opened up a business there. Tried to keep it small and spend some time focusing on my riding, my mom's riding a little bit, and it's a family affair, that's for sure. I mean, it means a lot to all of us, and this is our life. This is what we live for.
And that's the fun part of it. And here, finishing well into that Grand Prix as well. I mean, that, as I said, is a whole... Tell me how everybody fits in, because then you brought Daniel Blumen into the team early this year. You approached him and said, okay, can you help me? Can we get some work together?
I've been riding some sales horses for Daniel for probably the last 2 years, and you know, last season my mare wasn't quite where I wanted her, and I just thought, who can I bring in to really get her to the level that I want to get her to? And Daniel was right there to step up and support me and push me in the direction that I needed to go, and guide my mare to be in the place that she is and being able to perform at her best.
And how's that felt emotionally coming through that?
It's rewarding. I mean, it's really rewarding. I feel really grateful to have a team that really fights just as hard for me as I do for myself and for my horses, and it's a rewarding feeling.
Was your boyfriend was down helping you? He's been roped in?
He is. He knew nothing about horses maybe 5 years ago, and now I can't replace him. He really, you know, it's hard to find people that treat your horses and treat your equipment and everything like it's their own, and having someone who's pretty much family taking care of all of that, there's a lot of peace of mind, and he loves it. And that horse loves him far more than she loves me.
That's the way it goes. Sometimes it turns out that way. Nikki, you've obviously seen Summer in action at times.
Yes, yes, no, absolutely. We kind of go way back from California, and summer coming up through the ranks in the juniors and the equitation and whatnot, and yeah, phenomenal rider and has a big future ahead of her.
Well, looking forward to that. Lillie, again, it's progression here. The U25, how you come up through the different ways, but getting that experience and getting that, again, advice from other riders that have been through it, whether it's Nikki, whether it's McLean, whoever, or it's Daniel, whoever it is, to get you to that next level.
Absolutely. I think that having the U25 series is such an asset to American show jumping, and that's something that in Europe we've seen for a long time, and it's a very competitive division, and the fact that they've brought it in here, and it's a very strong division, everyone wants to really reach that goal. It's a fantastic stepping stone, and they incorporate a team event, which is so important because at our championships you have to be able to compete on a team and deal with that different kind of pressure. So, you know, there's a gap that it's really filled in when you are going through the junior ranks and then trying to make that step to a professional. And you have riders like Summer that rise to the occasion, and it's a great way to showcase their talents just before they're making that next step.
And the good thing is for you that you also get a trip to Europe as well, don't you? Due to cooperation.
I do. He texted me late after the class. He's already planning. I think Daniel's almost more excited than I am.
but that's nice.
Yeah.
That's part of the team. That's how it should feel, shouldn't it, Lillie?
Definitely. I think having the people that are surrounding you, believing in you just as much, and at times probably more than you believe in yourself, and pushing you to make those steps, and you'll have an amazing time.
Yeah,
I promise
I'm
you,
looking
you will.
forward
And
to it.
to be able to kind of see the depth of the sport and how much opportunity there is out there, and you're really competitive, so you're going to have a lot of fun.
Have a lot of fun with that. Augusto Iwasaki, as I say, was our winner of the final Grand Prix as well, and of course it's the name that's going to come up in a few minutes' time when we talk equitation as well. But that wrapping up the U25 series for 2023 here in Wellington, of course, and as Lillie said, it's really the start of the season. But Augusta in here, a little bit of rivalry there, but by this point I think you were pretty well there with the championship, so a little bit of relief for you.
Yeah, I got to take a deep breath at that point. Daniel had already done some quick math and figured out where I was going to finish up in the standings. Gussie's competitive. She's got some guts, and you know, I had someone sitting at the ring telling me how many strides she was doing, and I thought to myself, I know my horse too well. There's no chance I can go as fast as Gussie. She's competitive. She's a catty little rider, and she's really had a lot of success.
Well, she's been very good. Lillie, you'll have seen her because she came through the equitation last year with the McLean wins in Washington and all of that as well. Similar line to you from that point of view.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's had a lot of success in the Hunter ring, and I think that she's a rider that you really see the American style, where she started really was in the Hunters and forward riding, and then obviously she's transferred that into the jumper ring and used it to her advantage, and obviously can ride very quick.
Nikki, for you've come through all of that system. Your kids have come through the system of equitation and some into the U25s over the years. Again, it's been a good framework here in the US.
Absolutely. I did the equitation and won both finals as well, and it was a long time ago. And it's a very important division, I think to produce what we have today. I think everything has to stay in check and really take from it what you want to transfer into the big ring. The U25 is a phenomenal series. You know, it's something we didn't have back in the day, and I think it, like Lillie said, it really fills the gap to really prepare the next generation to come through.
Well, we're going to talk also the Equitation Championship here at WEF this week as well, sponsored by NetJets. Lillie, I'm going to come to you first. You can't say an awful lot because you're judging.
That's true. But it's safe to say I haven't watched any of the equitation this season. I've been really busy, and I think that's actually a huge
what you
positive.
want. Yeah.
That's what I want. Going into it, I'm the only judge that isn't also a true Big R judge. I have been focusing on my own career, but equitation was a huge part of my life, and at one stage I thought that winning a final was more important than anything, so that shows you how important it was to me. I did win this class many years ago. I think I was maybe 15 or 16, and I had done it a few times before then. When I did it, and I believe it's the same way, we had to do a test, but they made us switch horses without help from the ground, and you have no trainer. I think it's honestly one of the best classes that we have in the equitation, because it's really pushes the riders out of their comfort zone. They're in the main ring, which they haven't been yet. It's under the lights, and even if you don't come away the winner, there's a lot to be learned from the experience. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And you, in your era with it, which was not very long ago.
It feels like a long time.
It was not very long ago, from that point of view. But I mean, it was some shots of last year winning that, but you know, the winning combination. But from that point of view, for you swept the board. You won the McClay, you won Washington, you won all of, I think basically all of them.
I was second in the USET final, which is still a sore subject for me, because one of my US teammates, she actually was judging, and we've talked about it since. But yeah, it was a really important part of my life, and I give my trainers from that time I rode at Heritage Farm, Andre, he really taught me everything from the beginning, and I think that's really the foundation of what's carried me to where I am, and hopefully will carry me much farther.
Well, and exactly, you've already been to World Championships and Nations Cups and winning Nations Cups and all the other accolades that have been there, 5-star Grand Prix win last year as well. So it does give a good base from that point of view. Nikki, for the kids coming into it this week, what's it usually like? What's the atmosphere like? It's pretty tense.
It's very tense. It's way easier to ride in the Saturday night. It's you know, it's really fun to sit out here and watch them prepare, and I think it's a great opportunity for them to really get into the horsemanship part of it, and you know, I think the preparation is actually all season, to be honest. You know, the good ones really come through as far as getting out of the comfort of having the crutch of a trainer there, and I think that's what we need to produce, and it's a great class to watch in all areas. The schooling area, I think, to really see what's going on through their mind and whatnot, and it's a great preparation to control nerves and challenge and be under that kind of pressure.
How nervous did you get, Lily?
Oh, I'm very nervous. I mean, I honestly think that I remember between this championship and the finals, I was more nervous than I was for
on teams.
I mean, for 5-star Nations Cups, honestly, because I think that you feel, you know that there's a deadline, and you eventually age out. You'll run out of chances, and you're also much younger, so you don't have the perspective of all of the elements and the experience. And I'm so grateful for the experience, because the reason I'm not as nervous now is because I went through it. And I was able to deal with the nerves and actually use it to my advantage. So I think going into the week for all the riders, they have to walk the course on their own, they have to make their own plan. You have to learn to trust yourself and trust your horse, and I think the cream will rise to the top.
Absolutely. Summer, from your point of view, what's your experience of the equitation ranks?
The equitation is, in my opinion, a really important place to start. You know, it teaches you to be effective and beautiful, and there's something to be said about that when it carries over into the jumper ring. I don't get nearly as nervous to jump around bigger classes than I did in the equitation. You know, it's in the jumper ring, you can make a little mistake and still come out on top, and I think this equitation class is a really good opportunity at the beginning of the season for these riders to practice handling their nerves and feeling almost the same amount of pressure that they would at finals. I think watching these classes over the past years, you can definitely see the more seasoned kids come out there, and it's like any other class. But it's a really good opportunity to get out in the big ring, and like Lily was saying, switching horses, and it definitely it allows for you to really progress and learn and be ready to step into the jumper rings one day and make it to the top.
Well, you've done a good job of it so far. Lily, you've done an excellent job of it so far. For your point of view, your nerves are just going to be sitting on the seat on the sidelines this week, which is probably going to be more nerve-wracking, I think.
I mean, I'm really actually excited and looking forward to it. I've judged a couple equitation classes in the past couple years, but in many ways, I know, you know, the kids that maybe won the finals last year by name, but I don't sit and watch the ring, and I think that that's a fantastic thing because my perspective is obviously going to be a bit different than the other judges, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Which is why I'm not going to give you a form guide, right? Yes, you've been stolen away from the commentary box. You're going to be into the jury box this year as well for the equitation finals. But where you are going to be competing as well is in the Captive 1 series. We come to the final of that this week as well, and that's the series that takes place all the way through the season, as the name would suggest, and is the 150 series, so it's within its own category. And we see a lot of exciting horses coming through that over the years that have then gone on to the big Grand Prix as well, bearing in mind we've got Rolex Grand Prix the following week. Derek Kenny leading the series at the moment. He actually has won that series before now. Richard Vogel in second, Laura Kraut up there, McLean Ward in fourth, Shane Sweetnam, some very familiar faces in there. Lillie, you're in seventh at the moment in the overall championship for that. But like I say, it's also it's a good class on the Sundays, follows the Grand Prix, but actually it's a good building class for a lot of people into those Grand Prix. Nikki and Lillie from that point of view.
Absolutely. I think that having the meter 50 every week, it offers an opportunity for either if you didn't end up jumping the Grand Prix with your horse, you have another big class that you can do. Or I know for myself, like in the final, I'm going to be jumping an 8-year-old. He's jumped under the lights in the beginning of the season in a national Grand Prix. It's obviously going to be quite a step up for him, but I think that's a fantastic thing about the series is it offers another opportunity to either bring horses along or a stepping stone if you have maybe a horse that was jumping Grand Prix and needs to take a step down, and it's very competitive. It's always a really, really fast jump off.
Well, you were third last week with Chili Peppers.
Yes, I was third last week. That would be great if I could be in the top 3 again this week.
Nikki, for you, I mean, it's a good series to be aimed at through the season, as I say, aside from the obvious big Grand Prix.
Absolutely, I agree completely with what Lillie said. I think that it serves a lot of purpose. You know, if you have a rider wanting to break into that, you have a horse, you know, coming up. You have, you know, your Grand Prix horse if you were unlucky to get into the Grand Prix. So it serves a lot of purpose, and it is very competitive. You know, it's a bit of a mixed bag as far as what you have in there. You have, you know, some experienced horses, experienced riders, and a mix of up and coming. So it's definitely an important series.
Well, we're filling all of the dates in for you this week because Friday night we've got the equitation final, well, from late afternoon. Then on Saturday evening we're going to be into the Captive 1 150 Championship final, and on Sunday we go into the Bainbridge Grand Prix as well, 4-star Grand Prix there as well. Adding that in to keep us in a busy week. Nikki, you're not doing that this week, I think.
I'm done. I'm done
You're
for the
having a little
season.
rest now.
Yep. So my mare's going to rest, and we'll pick it up after season sometime in June.
In terms of a Sunday Grand Prix, I mean, we're probably going to have the usual faces in terms of looking for the key ones, the McLeans, the Kents, and that group. Is there anyone that you've sort of seen that's impressed you this season more than anything? It's very hard here, I know.
It's really hard. I mean, it's, you know, I think it's anyone's day. You know, there's a large handful that it's anyone's day, and a great group of horses. I think it would be, it's very hard to put a bet on anyone in particular, but there's it'll be a good class and a good fight.
Looking forward to that. Lillie, from your point of view, a little bit left on the bone of this season yet to do here. This week and of course next week, Rolex Grand Prix, looking ahead to that. We're starting to see a few of the big names rolling into town again now. Daniel Doyce is back. There's word that we're going to see Henrik von Eckermann next week as well. It's ramping up.
Definitely. I mean, having a Rolex Grand Prix is always something that the top riders, they really want to do. And it's always a competitive class, but I think having the best in the world is really what raises the standard, not only of our sport here, but for all of the riders. It makes all of us better to be jumping against the best that there is. So I'm looking forward to this week. I actually am going to be jumping a horse that had been injured. His name was Faster, and he had about 2 years ago was my maiden horse, and I haven't jumped a Grand Prix with him in over a year. So I'm excited about jumping him this week, and then obviously looking forward to next week. That's something that you plan basically my entire season. I start with the Rolex Grand Prix and working back from it, and the best way to get there. So excited about next week.
Looking forward to that. Summer, from your point of view, what's left on the agenda for the next couple of weeks? I was looking around here. I think you've got a busy group of horses to be jumping.
Yeah, I've got a couple new FEI horses I just picked up the ride on. My mare will go home and rest and take a little time off, hopefully get into the Invitational Grand Prix again. And as far as finishing my season in Florida, just got some 8-year-olds to bring along and kind of see where they're at, and hopefully have some horses ready for the spring and the summer.
And after that success last week, you've got a rather large shopping credit to go and use on the house as well.
I do.
You can plan that one out too. Well, as I say, it is going to be a busy, busy week. Thank you to my guests. Thank you to Nikki. Thank you.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you,
Thanks for
Summer.
having us.
Good luck with all the different ranges that you're firing off to for the next few days. Like I say, let's just remind you what's coming up this week. As I say, we've got, as ever, a BC week. Tomorrow actually sees the qualifier for the 2-star Grand Prix through this week as well. We've also got the 2-star Grand Prix sponsored by Brain Juice this week. And the 4-star will see that WEF qualifier on to Friday, slightly differently. Equitation on Friday as well, to take us through that from mid to late afternoon into the completion. You can join us for that on the streaming with myself and Jacob Pope to take you through that, and Rachel Kennedy going to be going through all of the ins and outs of the equitation. And then on Saturday night we're going to be heading into that 150 Championship, the Captain 1 Series. And so then on Sunday we're into the Big 4-Star Grand Prix as well. So the Bainbridge Company is the sponsors of that. There is very little that you're not going to see here this week, so tune in to everything here at Wellington International, or the stream brought to you by Wellington Equestrian Realty. Thank you to everybody joining me here. Thank you to all of you out there who've been with us through the season. And of course, next week as well, Rolex Grand Prix week is going to be a big one. We're actually going to be on Thursday next week with an all-star lineup throughout the week. And it is going to be a big finale to what has been the Winter Equestrian Festival. We're not quite done yet. Join us all throughout this week here at Wellington International.